For the first time in Magic the Gathering's history, you have the ability to make a deal with a devil god, offering you considerable power, but at a hefty and dangerous price.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. My friends, I hope you're doing well today. We are here to talk about Magic the Gathering's first devil god and a high-ranking character from Dungeons & Dragons. This is not your everyday devil. This is literally a devil god. Asmodeus is a very interesting creature, not only from the perspective of Magic the Gathering, but just as a concept overall. He rules over 9 levels of hell and has all these archdevils that serve him. If you weren't aware, the video that I recently did talking about Zariel, well, Zariel is an angel that was essentially corrupted by Asmodeus and turned into the guardian of one of his planes of hell. Pretty interesting concept. So Asmodeus is actually apparently a massive serpent that is hundreds and hundreds of feet long. He is so unwieldy in his normal form. He wants to go out and make deals with people, but unfortunately for him, his body made it an impossibility. So he actually deals with mortals through an avatar. You're never actually seeing the real Asmodeus. He can't seem to help himself. Even with his avatar, he needs to be big and imposing. He's like a 13-foot tall archdevil. Not archdevil, I should say, devil god. He stands above the archdevil. So it's interesting that they have made him into a card, and the card itself is an interesting amalgamation of a couple of different concepts. It feels like it really feels like it's 2 different black cards fused together. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the card and his abilities. We're going to talk about the previous cards in Magic history that kind of tie into him. And then I have a really funky card to show you that combos amazingly with Asmodeus. It just goes so well, it's insane. So, Asmodeus the Archfiend is 2 black and 4 for a 6/6 legendary devil god. And I have to say, for me, I absolutely love summoning up gods. The idea, like under normal circumstances, on any given world, the most powerful beings are always going to be gods, right? Usually they're infused with worshippers' belief, but even if they're not, they tend to be insanely powerful beings. That's why they're gods. So the idea that as a planeswalker, you can traverse the realms, you are above god level, you can literally go to worlds and make their gods your servants. And I mean, that feels good. When you want a power trip, like, I'm so powerful. It feels great conceptually, right? So the idea of finding a devil god and binding him to your will, but at the same time, he is there as a risk to you, right? Like the devil god isn't just going to serve you easily and faithfully. He's going to try and get one over on you, which adds a little bit of extra spice to your summoning, right? It totally feels like a black style ability where it's like, I want power at any cost. And it's like, ooh, the beings that you're going to have to deal with, they're going to try and get you involved in their schemes, and some awful things could happen as a result. So, how does Asmodeus work? Well, he has the ability Binding Contract. If you would draw a card, exile the top card of your library face down instead. All right, so first off the bat, you go, wait a minute. So you're going to replace my card draws with exiling the card? In one way, that's a good way to get around things that care about card draw. You know, if your opponent's like, whenever your opponent draws a card, create a treasure token. So for example, Smothering Tithe may not be as exciting when your opponent has out Asmodeus. But that's not where the juiciness is. This is the downside of the contract. Well, part of the downside. There's multiple downsides. Now we come to the next step, which is amazing. 3 black mana, draw 7 cards. For 3 mana, you get to draw 7 cards. That's insane. That's the first time this level of insanity card draw has been just put beside such a small mana cost, right? Just literally that line all by itself, 3 black, draw 7 cards, is a whoa. But obviously, because of the Binding Contract ability, it will exile all 7 of those cards on top of your regular draw, right? So once Asmodeus comes out, you don't get to draw cards anymore. However, there is a path to get your cards back, right? Pay 1 black, return all cards exiled with Asmodeus the Archfiend to their owner's hand, and you lose that much life. So, let's say you put him out, your next turn comes around, you go to do your first draw, boom, it's exiled. Then you pay 3 black mana, exile 7 more cards. Then you pay 1 black to activate the final ability. You'd put all 8 of those exiled cards straight into your hand and then lose that much life. So you'd lose 8 life. Now, if you're playing a regular game of Magic, not Commander, you only have 20 life to begin with. So you're giving up 40% of your life in 1 turn to Asmodeus's machinations, his desires, his powerful contract. He offers you a lot of power, but at an incredible cost. And it makes you wonder, what does Asmodeus do with the life force that he's gained from planeswalkers, right? Because Asmodeus makes deals out there with all kinds of different people for their souls, for their essence. But how much more powerful? What a heady elixir Planeswalker's soul essence must be, because that's, to me, what's going on here. You're losing that much life. It's not damage. Asmodeus is literally drawing the essence of your life, your soul, out of your body. That's pretty intense. And I mean, it fits with the artwork. Look at him. He's sitting there on this big spiky throne with his staff of power, kind of looking down on you to a degree, right? Sure, you summoned him up as a devil god, but really, underneath it all, this is according to his plans. That's how it feels, you know? And it actually does feel like you are being manipulated by Asmodeus, because yes, he's offering you great power with the draw 7 cards, but he's also affecting every single draw you do. So he's actually gaining control over your normal draw step, basically. And that's you accessing spells in your mind. So he's literally reaching into your mind and altering the way it works, causing the path of all knowledge to flow through him. And he won't give you your thoughts and magic back unless you pay him your life essence. Now that genuinely feels like a contract you would have with a devil god. This is no low-level little devil like, I'm here to start a fire and do some damage. This is like, I will take all of your life essence if you allow me to. And it's cool because Asmodeus is a lawful evil individual. If you're not familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, there are a number of different styles of alignment. There's lawful evil, and then there's chaotic evil. Now, chaotic evil is like the evil that most people are most familiar with, right? Where, okay, this person's out there kicking puppies and taking, just doing awful evil things. That's it. The worst thing I can think of is kicking puppies. No, but you know what I mean? They're genuinely evil for evil's sake, and you can't really predict what they're gonna do. The level of lawful evil is more like, hey, I'm gonna use the laws that exist, find loopholes, and I'm going to be truly evil, but everything I did it's within the rules. Everything I'm doing is lawfully allowed. That kind of mentality, which to me makes them more dangerous overall. They're harder to get rid of because they're obeying the laws. So it's more difficult to go, okay, you've got to be stopped, you've got to be getting rid of. Chaotic evil is really easy in terms of, that's a problem, let's get rid of it. So the idea of Asmodeus being lawful evil is that he doesn't come along and force this on you. You have to summon him up, make a contract with him, and then he lawfully takes control of all your thoughts and spells, which is really, really potent. So as I said, it feels like a mix of a couple of different old school, or one's more old school than the other. So we're going to take a look at a couple cards that really tie into the same concept. The first one is Griselbrand. All right, so Griselbrand is 4 black and 4 for a 7/7 flyer. This is the newer card, so we'll go backwards in history kind of thing. So this is 8 mana for a 7/7 flying with lifelink. Pay 7 life, draw 7 cards. This one's a lot more straightforward, right? There's not these convoluted contracts that you have to go through. Okay, make a contract with me. I'll help you gain the knowledge and funnel it through you. Griselbrand's literally just a demon that says, let me feed upon you. If you let me feed upon you in exchange, I will give you this knowledge. Just straight up. No extra, I'm going to hold it off to the side. No, I'm going to affect your draw step. It is a simple, It's the difference, I feel like, between demons and high-level devils. We don't have very many high-level iconic devils in Magic the Gathering. The only one that comes to my mind at all would be Tybalt the Planeswalker, who fused with a bunch of like lesser devils and became a half devil, half human kind of planeswalker. So, you know what I mean? Devils have always been kind of second tier when it comes to like high level evil beings and the power they can grant you overall in Magic the Gathering. So Griselbrand is a more straightforward demonic concept. Making deals with demons is far more common in Magic the Gathering. And so you've got the fact that he will let you gain life. If you go and have him smash people, then you're going to gain life. You swing in with him, you gain 7 life. You pay 7 life to draw 7 cards. So it's the same way with Asmodeus, where it's pay 3 mana, draw 7 cards, pay the 7 life to get those cards. So it's a more convoluted devil contract route to the same concept. And Griselbrand is a really cool demon, right? He was trapped inside the Hell Vault with Avacyn. So when Avacyn got free, actually it says in the flavor text, Avacyn emerged from the broken Hell Vault, but her freedom came at a price. Him. I love that. I love the fact that Thalia doesn't say his name. Like, she doesn't need to. Just the emphasis put on the word him. Griselbrand is a very intimidating looking demon, man. And that like fiery essence that flows up off the top of his head is just nutty to me. But, you know, ultimately when you compare him to Asmodeus, he feels more straightforward. He doesn't feel like he's trying to put one over on you. He just wants to feed on life force. Whereas with Asmodeus, it's also about like mental domination. There's a different layer to it, right? But either way, they're both linked through that draw 7 cards on a big body and pay the life to do it. So that kind of connects together there. Then we have, oh no, I showed don't look at that card. That's the one we'll talk about last. I got them in the wrong order. Okay, so Necropotence was the card we're supposed to see next. You didn't see it. I'll tell you about it next. It's an awesome combo. All right, Necropotence was the very first time we got this pay life for cards concept. 3 black for an enchantment that says skip your draw phase. Whenever you discard a card, remove that card from the game. Pay 1 life, set aside the top card of your library, put that card into your hand at the beginning of your discard phase. So I've always found it weird about this card that they made one of the costs, whenever you discard a card, it gets removed from the game. I wasn't really sure as to why they included that. Like, first of all, skipping your draw phase is a huge drawback, right? Like, and on top of that, paying life to get cards seemed like a huge drawback. When this card originally came out, like, it didn't take too long before people realized it was actually bonkers. But when it first came out, a lot of people didn't want to mess with this card because A, it cost you your draw phase. And B, you had to pay life for cards. They didn't realize, oh, wait a minute, I'll pay 7 life, set aside 7 cards, refill my... Like, the fact that you can get an insane amount of card advantage with this card is absolutely nutty. Now, it is a little more delayed than the other cards we looked at because you pay the life and then you have to wait until the beginning of the discard phase to get the cards. But either way, this has a similar feel to Asmodeus where it messes with your draw phase. Asmodeus doesn't make you skip your draw phase, but he does exile a card and won't give it to you unless you pay a life for it, right? So it's the same kind of concept to a degree, but then it's obviously where you pay life and set the cards aside is where there's more of a connection. But this Necropotence is the precursor to Griselbrand and Asmodeus. And things like Griselbrand may look better on the surface, but ultimately, Necropotence is so cheap to put out. And the fact is that it's not like you have to do 7 at a time. Griselbrand and Asmodeus require that you do huge chunks, right? But Necropotence allows you to pick. So if you have 5 cards and you want to go back up to 7, you just pay 2 life. The next turn, if you're down to 4 and you want to go back up to 7, you just pay 3 life, right? So Necropotence is a very powerful card. It caused big problems back in the day with busted decks that were very difficult to deal with. I believe the term was combo winter when Necropotence ran rampant, causing genuine problems. The card advantage in a card like this is insane. But let's go back to the card that you weren't supposed to see in advance, the Necrotic Ooze, which, hey, Necropotence, Necrotic Ooze, it's got the same kind of vibe. So Necrotic Ooze is 2 black and 2 for a 4/3. As long as Necrotic Ooze is on the battlefield, it has all activated abilities of all creature cards in all graveyards, okay? So understand, it's just activated abilities. So when we take a look at Asmodeus here, right? His activated abilities are only the second 2 abilities. So if you have out the Necrotic Ooze, you don't have to exile any of the cards you draw, but you do have the ability, pay 3 black mana, draw 7 cards. 3 black mana to draw 7 cards, just with no downside. You don't have to pay any life, you don't have to exile anything, and you can do it as many times as you want. And Asmodeus doesn't have to be in play, you just have to pitch it into your graveyard. All you have to do is get Asmodeus in your graveyard. Super easy to get cards, creature cards specifically, in your graveyard when you're playing black. That is not hard to do. There's a bunch of cards that do that. So getting them into your graveyard is going to be no problem whatsoever. And then with the Necrotic Ooze, you're just going to be like, yeah, I'll just pay 3, draw 7 cards. I don't like this. I'll pay 3 more, draw 7 more. Brrr. Like, it's absolutely bonkers. I expect that this card will actually probably get some kind of boost in terms of desirability. More people are going to want Necrotic Ooze than ever with the addition of this dumb option. Asmodeus is amazing with it. So, my friends, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Big shout out to all my patrons. Thank you very much for supporting my channel. And I'll see you all for the next video. Link to my Dungeons & Dragons spoiler videos here at the end.